Welcome back, everybody. We're under safety car here at Phillip Island. Marshals and crash crews working to move Peter Hill's Lamborghini in. The meantime, let's take a closer look at one of the cars to be in the Australian GT Championship. There is a growing number of these magic-looking Moslers on the grid. Fast, exotic, built from the ground up for this type of racing. Little wonder guys like Ash Samadi, Dean Grant and Tony Quinn here have been keen to get their hands on one.
The car is a Mosler MT900R, made in England and raced over in Britain and Europe.
They're running a 7-litre Chev. It's an engine that comes out of the Corvette. It's called an LS7. So they're developing around 550 horsepower. They're all similar to the Lamborghini and all that, but this has got a little bit more torque.
The car is a little bit different to the normal GT cars in that it has probably more aero than some others, but it is heavier and it is a little bit different to drive. So it takes a little bit of time to get used to it, but it's an excellent car to drive and race around.
The unique thing about the Mosler is you've actually got two choices of gear selection. You've got the manual shifter here, which basically is like that, and 99% of the time we use a paddle shift. It's a great system and quite easy to operate. It means you don't have to heel toe. Throttle gets blipped automatically on the downshift, and you can just do flat changes on the upshift as well. So it's quite a good system.
Albeit a good system, he did have some dramas with it in the opening race. They've made some good changes to Dean's car for this one, and by all accounts, he's feeling pretty comfortable. Race restart, Honduras leads the way. On board with Grant, through turn one. And when you go through that safety car situation, Warren Luff, everything cools off. You've got to get your mind centred once again and just be mindful of things like the tyre pressures, don't you?
It's very important on these cold days to try and get some heat in those tyres, and these guys will be very sceptical these first few corners, trying to sort of feel out where the grip of their tyres are and see what the cars around them are going to be able to do.
On the outside in the 56 entry is Shane Smolin. David Wall, one of the outright competitors, picks up a position here. Smolin, of course, in the challenge class. Looks like there was some action going on up in front. Hackett may have made a move through. Hackett's off, though, at turn 4.
Very disappointing start to the race for Peter Hackett, but it's a 1-hour race. There's plenty of time for him to be able to come back.
So Honduras leads from Twig. Dean Grant doing a good job in third position. Here's the Wilson Security, Shannon's entry of David Wall. As we take a look at the replay, the Donut King on board of Greg Crick makes the move down the inside. Oh, and there was a touch.
There was definite contact there on the outside. Probably not the most gentlemanly bit of driving from Greg Crick. Certainly pushed Peter Hackett out wide. But as he said, it's a 1-hour race. There's still plenty of time for him to come back.
The question mark, I guess, in all of that is if he's having to nurse the car for the remainder of the race, if it does have some damage. But Hackett has been around. He knows what to do in these sorts of situations. Ivan Klassen putting the pressure on Shane Smolin. That's for second in the challenge class. Klassen did a great job in the opening race, new to the category, and winning the class. Back to the action up front.
Here we see David Wall trying to get down the inside there of Greg Crick, trying to take the advantage that the Porsche has under brakes down into turn 4.
On board, Donut King on board with David Wall, who'll join the Brad Jones racing team for the upcoming V8 Supercar Enduros, of which, Warren, this is one of the circuits they'll visit before going to Bathurst.
This is going to be great practice for David. In the lead-up to the Enduros, as many miles as he can get down here is really going to benefit him later on.
The Castrol entry, of course, is Greg Crick, the Viper back together. Now needs to try and claw back the points gap from Eastern Creek, but Wall doing a brilliant job there, seizing the opportunity.
He really took advantage of the speed he was able to carry over the top of the hill there. A nice clean move down into the hairpin, and now he looks ahead to Dean Grant and trying to make up another position.
Replay of the pass over the top at Lukey. Runs a little wide, but makes a big dive under brakes and gets it done. Good battle unfolding here as they exit the final turn onto the main straight. Shane Smolin and Ivan Klassen battling away for second place in the challenge class. Simon Middleton there in the Lamborghini just ahead of Ian Palmer. And Palmer on the comeback after that incident at turn 1, trying to avoid Peter Hill. Oh, and there's been a touch-up in front. Who's come out the loser of that one? Klassen, I think it is.
That's Klassen off out wide there. You can see they definitely got together on the way in there. It was only the smallest of touches, but you can see the end result. That car's going nowhere.
What a shame, considering his efforts in race 1, winning the challenge class. Again, the view.
They managed to get through turn 1 side by side, but it's only just the smallest of touches on the way in, the way the car's loaded up there, and that's obviously race over for Ivan Klassen.
So Smolin regathers, and in the meantime, Simon Middleton, who's racing the car that was campaigned by Dean Grant, the Lamborghini, in the middle of the mix here, and look at the Viper coming into its own on this long straight at Phillip Island. Palmer just a little tentative with the throttle, not wanting to get into any sort of drama at turn 1.
Yeah, he definitely made the right decision to back out of that there. Too wide into turn 1, and being on the outside is not the place to be.
Wow, what about this for seizing the opportunity on the outside on the approach to Lukey Heights? On the dirty side of the track, Dean Grant goes round the Donut King entry. David Wall goes with him. How brave are these guys?
It's a really great display of how much aero grip these GT cars have. You can see that GTR has got plenty of grip, but these cars just go straight round the outside.
Nice move. Middleton picks up the spot at the base of Lukey Heights. Listen to the way that Palmer just feeds the short shift and feeds the power on.
Starting to struggle for grip coming out of there under acceleration.
Takes an alternate line through the final turn as well. Now again, it'll come into its own. He can safely put the hammer down in that massive Dodge Viper. Will he get there? He'll be on the outside for turn 1. Here's Middleton once again. The Magnapool entry will grab it. He gets the spot. Nicely done.
The Vodka replay shows both cars go to the outside. It's the dirty part of the track, but both cars still manage to get through there. And as I was saying, this is where the aero grip of the GT cars really comes into their own.
Pit stops now. You're on board with the Wilson security entry. David Wall lines up beautifully. He'll be stationary for 60 seconds. And as we saw at Eastern Creek, things can change in terms of the race lead. The 99 car enters the lane. Damien Flack. And here's Eric Banner. Wall rejoining the circuit now. Compulsory pit stop done, but where does that put him in terms of... There's Peter Hackett. So he rejoins behind Peter Hackett. The tyres will have cooled off slightly. Hackett yet to complete his CPS.
This is where Wall really has to push hard on this outlap. The outlap and the inlap are the most critical parts of this race. To be able to sort of get out there and be able to push on is going to be the big deciding factor.
So the GT3 entry here of Shane Smolin now leads the challenge class, with Flack having completed his stop. And look how busy it's getting here in pit lane. Hackett enters the lane, and so too does Kondouris. Looks like Greg Crick coming in as well. So that will promote this guy here, Dean Grant, as we jump on board into the race lead.
Looks like they're electing to maybe do a tyre stop there on the Lamborghini.
So Kondouris, strict 40km/h speed limit in the Australian GT Championship. Kondouris rejoining. Will this hand the lead as we thought to Dean Grant? Here's Kondouris, he's exited the lane. Grant seizes the lead, but he too has to complete that compulsory stop. Kondouris now second on the road. And Flack in behind him there as we take a look at the Michelle's Patisserie driver profile. James Kondouris, a guy with a huge amount of experience in these type of cars, Warren.
Both James and his brother Theo have done a lot of GT racing over the years. Very much Porsche stalwarts, and they're loving their new Porsche Cup S's.
On board with Ian Palmer, there's Eric Banner just ahead of him. Great to see Eric making a return. Last race, in fact, in the championship, 2009 at Homebush.
For someone that doesn't get the chance to be able to race as often as what he'd like, it's obviously a great opportunity for him to come back. Phillip Island is pretty much his home circuit. He's done most of his racing here. He's even done a few days here on his motorbike, so he definitely loves the circuit.
Yeah, the track proved to be a huge temptation. Irresistible for Eric Banner. We'll grab a break in our coverage of the Australian GT Championship. When we return, it's the race to the finish.